Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
I gotta buy one for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So much of what I've done for buyers and sellers was in rural Nevada. There are differences. There are certain property-specific things you have to account for. You're working with the right guy here. But it's interesting you said you don't want to live in Vegas, and whatever your preference is, I have a Vegas identity and I have a Pahrump identity. So we're here in Pahrump, and I'm going to put on my cowboy hat. I wish I had one, right? In fact, that sign, you ever see that picture of me?
Yeah.
In front of that sign? Discover, enjoy. They took down those signs.
Did
you
they?
see it, Joe? You're driving through?
They took them down?
Yeah. It's crazy. They replaced it with the Pahrump Visitors Industry logo. And it just says, thank you for visiting. Welcome to Pahrump.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's interesting. That will always be a part of our history. Discover, enjoy. It was there for a decade plus, I believe. And something old, something new. And some things last forever. So that's the thing with Pahrump. When I'm in Vegas and I'm showing people homes, I'm working with potential sellers, closing the deals for them. Things are very simple, very easy. The identity there is based on entertainment one way or another.
Right.
Even though there's a difference between the core of the city and what's outside of it. And I think esoteric and exoteric is a good model for it. People will always take with them from, let's just say this, we're talking theoretically here, their jobs in the core of the city, the inner city,
Mm-hmm.
to their homes on the outskirts in the suburbs, a piece of what the Vegas tourism industry is. There's a hashtag Vegas Strong immersion. I use it because there's something about the strength of a town, especially in the aftermath of 1 October when that had emerged.
Right.
Roles in society. Who's the hero? Quickly.
The people.
The people. What people?
The working
What uniforms do they wear? What?
The working people.
The working people. You're right. In my mind, it's true. And these are the people that I serve for
Right.
the most part.
Right. Families. Single home
You're right.
families.
You're right. But in terms of how the world looks at it, and how, the imagery, the branding imagery that remains heavy on our minds each and every day at work in Las Vegas.
Right.
Who's the hero? Think Vegas. What do you think?
The Strip.
The Strip.
Casinos.
Elvis sightings.
Casinos.
Elvis sightings. And this
Yes.
day and age, residencies,
Yes.
shows.
Yes.
Right, taking off the table for a second how COVID-19 impacted it and the effects of it on America and the world.
And it's still having an effect.
Yeah, by the way, Joe, speaking of COVID-19, the thing with it is the real estate industry, we were above all others in being ready to take it on, to grab it by the horns. Here's why. Because this is what we've been doing our whole lives. We were, in many states, declared immediately essential workers because you want to keep the economy moving.
Right.
And we were, for the first time, having to, in many states, and in Nevada especially,
Uh-huh.
comply with new regulations that were constantly changing, month to month, week to week, day to day, from
Right.
governors, from real estate divisions and departments all across the country to try to stop the spread of this disease. So there were new constraints being put on us.
Right.
Sometimes hour to hour, and we were getting these essentially cables. In our case, from the governor, in some states from real estate divisions, and we had to comply with them, and there's no other industry more equipped than us. This is what we've been doing for 30 years. Brokers in the office,
Right.
we have communication methods, we have ways of staying in touch with each other, and in an industry where the individual agent is so powerful, and we're out there as these all-in-one brokerage houses, no matter who we work under, we're reading all of this ourselves and making sure to stay in compliance with it. It's what we've been doing for so long. So that's the thing with COVID-19. But one day, the thing with COVID-19 is everyone's wearing a mask now, right? When's the last time you had to wear a mask in public?
I have one in my vehicle.
You got one in your vehicle. Where'd you go last where you had to put it on?
Smith's.
You went into Smith. If you don't put it on, they'll get mad at you, right?
Yes.
Walk
Well,
into
they'll
Smith's.
ask you to leave if you don't comply.
Right. Exactly. So it's really interesting. This has been happening for how many months now? 6 months, 7 months?
Close to a year
Right
now.
around close to a year. So this is going on. You got to remember, how long is a year? We don't even think about it. You said 1 year? Not exactly in terms of when these, but it's been a year. That's how long out of a person's lifetime? What ratio, what percentage of that out of someone's life will this epidemic affect? How long is the average human lifespan?
A lot of people.
70 years, right?
Right.
That's
For a male.
1/70th of a human life we've had to deal with these constraints. Putting on a mask.
Right.
one day they're going to tell the story. Someone is going to have an epic story to tell about COVID-19.
Right.
Someone that right now is maybe a teenager or even in their 20s or even my age who's trying to discover himself or herself and has to come of age in an era where people wear masks.
Right.
And the thing with masks, Joe, hiding who you are, right? Not being yourself. It's an interesting, especially in the world of real estate, we're all acting.
Right.
100% of the time. To come off well in showing homes and giving listing presentations. I find it quite fascinating. I think that someone in the real estate industry trying to come of age as a realtor, as a real estate sales agent, wherever they are in the country, that is going to be perhaps the greatest story of COVID-19 out of, you've got the governor of New York already writing a memoir that's on the shelves at Walmart.
Really?
His response to COVID-19.
Right.
Again, not even a year into all of this happening. But in the end, the greatest story about COVID-19 and its effect on the world is going to be about personal identity.
Right.
And what it means to grow up and what it means to be alive. And how COVID-19, of course, affected it and perhaps gave us a better perspective of who we are.
Right.
And for realtors, who we are, absolutely. It proved that we are number one equipped to deal with such a circumstance and keep the economy moving. But back to Las Vegas. Elvis sightings, right? That's what you think about. Las Vegas, Elvis sightings, walking in Memphis, the sacred texts of a profane reality. I was walking, and in fact, we'll go into Vegas and we'll talk about it right there along Sunset. You ever been down Sunset?
Yeah.
And you see McCarran?
Yeah.
The runway? You ever read a book called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
I used to live over there. I seen the movie.
You did. Book's the same. There was a scene in there, right? Where they're late for the flight.
Yeah.
And they just drive right into the ditch and up the ditch, and they drive across the runway.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to the airplane, right up to the air steps.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that scene? After 9/11, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to verify it. They were putting a lot of security constraints on airports across the country.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Right. So were you there at that time? Did they put up something in front of that fence, like a barrier or a barricade?
I was unaware of that.
Well, that's the whole thing. I can't
But
help but wonder the reason why security seems so lax. And of course, nowadays, that's the whole thing nowadays is you don't even need a wall or a fence. They've got electronic technologies that can kill someone and disable a car if someone drives through the fence. You know it.
Yeah.
But that may be the reason why there's no barrier there. That you can't. That may be the reason why there's just a chain link fence, is because people driving down Sunset, that's a little hidden heritage.
Right.
In Las Vegas. That's one scene out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas where you're late for your flight. Well, you just drive right across the runway. And of course, that was reflective of, don't forget, this was 60s, 70s era.
Right.
Hunter S. Thompson. It was the first, groundbreaking seminal work of new journalism.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a reflection of Vegas at the time. McCarran Airport being relatively new, being relatively small, still air stairs. They had jet planes back then, so that's the whole thing. Vegas being where the future is.
Right.
I think that really is a real estate story more than people would give it credit for. In fact, you remember that scene where they're eating tacos in Boulder, near Boulder City, and they're asking the waitress, right, where's Boulder City, where's this club? They're practicing what I call owner-phile culture.
Okay.
Right, so they were asking, who owns this disco club? Who owns this casino and bar and restaurant up there? This is a piece of history out of an emerging Las Vegas. And so I can't help but wonder if the reason why we get to see the planes taking off from McCarran's runways along Sunset is precisely because of that scene and how that laid perhaps the foundation for what Vegas is. And I have to say, I think that Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas still is reflective of the culture and the core of Las Vegas. You remember that wave speech?
Oh, yeah.
Gives?
Yeah.
He's actually just sort of high on ether, let's put it that way. and typing at his typewriter. And you hear him narrating it. It's like, even that's BS.
Right.
But it's the truth. So that's the core of Las Vegas. It's entertainment, residencies, Elvis Presley sightings, showgirls on the Strip. And I love all of it. That's my identity there. Because people are attracted to that core.
Right.
And they want to live in somewhere like, say, Inspirada, or Cadence, or in Sky Canyon up there in Centennial in the Northwest.
Spanish Trail.
Yep, all of it. They want to live in these new emerging master plan communities. They want to buy a home off a resale, what we do all the time, because of that image, because of premiere. I'm a star,
Right.
you know. But here in Pahrump, it's a little different. Our hero isn't Elvis Presley walking down Las Vegas Boulevard. Our hero isn't Dean Martin or
Right.
Sammy Davis Jr., the
Right.
Rat Pack, or Frankie Valli. Our hero isn't, for the new guys, Gwen Stefani.
Right.
It's not the imagery, the abstract impression imagery of a Cirque du Solei performance. If you're into more of an image than people or celebrity culture, it's... Think about it. When you're in this town, do you ever see construction happening?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Here in Pahrump, you're driving all around, you see new
All
homes
the time.
under construction?
Yes.
Where? Tell me.
I would say south.
South side of town?
I don't know what side of town this is, but they're building over here too a lot.
Absolutely. So basically everywhere, Joe?
Basically, whether it's highways, I know they're redoing some roads, and also there's a new gas station that's going up.
The Circle K?
Circle K. Several are going
A
up.
lot of new things happening.
So
A lot planned down the
yeah,
pipeline.
the population has gone up.
Absolutely right about that, Joe.
So we got an NFL team here.
Yep.
So
We're not that far from the Raiders.
right.
And in a weird way, we are Greater Las Vegas.
Yes, I agree.
You know.
Yeah, I agree.
So who's the hero in this town? Well, of course, you've got your standard policemen, firefighters, paramedics, doctors, nurses.
Right.
They're your true essential employees out of this COVID-19 crisis.
School
right?
teachers.
Right. Those are heroes. The uniforms they wear, a school teacher with books, a doctor, stethoscope, that's a hero. So we take them off the table, just for the heck of it. Who's the hero in this town where you have construction constantly underway?
Contractors.
Joe, you ever drive
The
past-
contractors then.
Contractors is 100% right. The builder.
The builder,
Think
yeah.
about it. You're driving past one of these homes under construction, single-family homes, where you see you've got all these homes on, say, Huckleberry, on, say, Elderberry, just as
Yeah.
an example, and there are 2, 3, 4 vacant lots next to each other, and there's a few little homes like gems amid the desert. All of the empty space, the vacant lots, it's what could be. And more than ever, we're starting to see these contractors pulling up 4 or 5 trucks and spending a good month or 2, 3 months, 4 months, however long it's going to take to build this custom home. I'm not a construction worker, but that's the image of the hero in this town. A builder with a tool belt on, his arms extended into the sky, working on the second story of, let's say, a Beezer home in Burson Ranch in the Enclave area, building what is a place that a family, maybe from California, somewhere across the western seaboard, Washington, maybe Hawaii even, has gotten underway. They contacted me. We got it under contract, and they're finishing the building because they want to build a life here. That's why in Pahrump, the hero is the builder. It's not Elvis Presley walking down Las Vegas Boulevard. It's not
Mayor
Gwen
Goodman.
Stefani. It's not Wayne Newton. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And when I'm beneath the lights of Las Vegas, dazzled by those lights, that indeed, despite the fact they shine so brightly, overshadow
Right.
everything there is. Sometimes the stars in the night sky, even. All the stars are closer there, right? I identify with it 100%. But here, it's not Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
It's not Wayne Newton. It's
A lot of
any
vacant
given
land
builder.
too.
It's any given builder.
There's
That's-
a lot of land
Yeah.
in Nye County.
Absolutely. And look, there's power. Right there. You can get that in the shot. This is where the future lies, Joe.
I think the future is lying in solar.
It will
Or
save
no?
some money, maybe.
Take a lot of money, Matt.
I guarantee. No. I've seen a lot of people benefit from it. By the way, on the seller side, people always ask me, how much is this going to help me? And the reality is, anytime you're making a change to your home, anytime you're doing an additional improvement or renovation, for the most part, and there's always exceptions, so give me a call. We're not talking value added. We're talking value recovered when we sell.
Okay.
So if you're near selling, before you do all of that, let's talk about how much that's really going to. Don't put a pool in to inflate the value or increase rather the potential sale price of your home. Don't do that. Before
well, there's a solar company out here
right.
now.
There's a couple. So what I'm saying is, people ask me that all the time. Give me a call. I'm good. The issue with that is it's the same deal, but if you've got an agent on your side that can leverage that in the listing language and leverage that to your advantage, usually the way it works is we can demonstrate. It works sometimes. You gotta pull out all stops when you're selling a house.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that that's going to add significant dollar amounts to your potential sale price and how I price the home out for you. Call me up and talk about it. But if we get a hold of your utility bills and we can demonstrate that when this new system, because we're talking new systems, of course, people thinking, is this going to make it sell for more? When the buyer asks, how much is this actually going to save me? The fact that I'm buying a home with photovoltaic or solar, we can show them, this is demonstrable evidence of it helping you with your utility bill. So you mentioned something important. We can just furnish the utility bills to them and say, absolutely, this helps, and that's a good way to leverage the power of your investment now that you have to sell. So give me a call if you've got a PV system. One of the latest changes over at Las Vegas Realtors is if there is a solar system installed in the home, we have to disclose some of the more technical details surrounding it, watt hours, etc. So I've got tons of experts that can come in and make sure we're complying with that. Make it work to your advantage.
So you give advice, Matt?
What advice?
Well, to buyers? I mean, if they were to ask you about solar power or
I would say look at those utility bills and determine for yourself if it's worth it.
Right. Yeah. Well, you want them to be happy, and you want it to be comfortable. You want them to be not over their head,
right? In
utilities and
absolutely, it's a big consideration for a lot of people.
See, a lot of people are out of work, Matt.
I hate to say.
Glad I don't have a family right now.
You're glad you don't? It's no big deal. Here's the whole thing with me is this is how I like to talk about it. People have different ways of defining family. This is what I was talking about with you last time.
Well, I do have a family. You're right.
But you don't have kids to raise. You don't.
Right.
And who knows? Some people actually, I've dealt with this personally, really, really love the idea of being a father figure or a mother figure. And they actually will ask for information on homes in advance of bringing something into the world. And that might mean adoption, right?
Right.
That's how much they love it. And I totally understand that story. But there are other ways to be a father to all. There are other ways to be a mother to all.
I agree.
Someone like you, everything you stand for and believe, it might actually be cheaper to make a bigger contribution to the world than merely serving one child and escaping misery.
Hey, I served my country.
You did.
I raised my kids. Been divorced twice. I had a good life, though.
Yeah.
I got no complaints.
I'm with you there. There's nothing to complain about. It's Pahrump.
Yeah.
Just walk over to the school bus.